This morning, I woke up for my first day as a volunteer on a farm north of Manila in the Philippines. It was early in the morning and I went outside with my microphone, but all of a sudden I lost my concentration when some more wonderful children walked by.
It's day number 2 now at the volunteer working tour, on the volunteering working tour. I just stepped outside. And now there's a bunch of kids walking by. Good morning.
Okay, good morning.
Welcome to the Radio Vagabond podcast. My name is Palabo and I'm still in the Philippines and still working as a volunteer with the organization Gawad Kalinga. If you haven't listened to the first of my episode here from the Philippines, you might want to stop right now and then go back and listen to that one. And now I'm on a farm. They call it the Enchanted Farm, but it's so much more than a farm. We start by getting a tour by Sophie, a 25-year-old redhead from Hamburg.
I'm Sophie, my last name is Mather, and I'm 25 years old, and I'm here at the farm with a social enterprise, Mad Travel, Make a Difference Travel.
It's the kind of feeling that you have on the Enchanted Farm. There is an infectious atmosphere of making a difference.
I came here a year ago and started as a volunteer, and now I live here. Yeah. But I'm not based at the farm all the time. So I'm working with my travel and community development, and I travel basically all around the Philippines. Whenever we start working with the GK community or even indigenous community, and I'm out there and start working with them, basically asking them, find out what their problems are, skills, all those things.
Sophie told me that she had a good job back in Germany, but wanted to do something more meaningful.
What triggered your decision to go do volunteer work in the Philippines?
Actually, that's a good question. I finished my university there, I graduated, and then I worked for a corporate, but I was quite bored and not really fulfilled. And I was just looking for something different, like something more meaningful, more fulfilling, and something where I can share and meet people.
It's a project that you want to be a part of. We met volunteers from Canada, Colombia, and France on the farm. Like Sophie, many of them were only supposed to be there for a short visit, but ended up staying longer. And it is much more than regular agriculture.
So we call the GK Enchanted Farm a farm village university, and it's actually the first farm village university in the world, because it's really about the village, which is the GK community, the farm, which is everything about organic farming, agriculture, back to the roots basically, and focusing on bringing more value into farming and agriculture in the Philippines.
Gawad Kalinga has a lot of social entrepreneurships. Among the things they produce, cosmetics, chocolate, ice cream, juice, and everything they make is healthy, organic, and sustainable. And teddy bears.
Remove one, then put again what you...
But there's also plenty of agriculture. Ducks, chickens, pigs, sheep, and goats. We actually get the task of capturing goats and tagging them with numbers so they can tell them apart.
I need the pen.
There you go. I like how they stick their tongues out. Do you think tighter?
Will this not fall off?
No, I don't want
And Gawad Kalinga pays their employees a salary that is above the average and give them more leisure time than most other workplaces. Speaking of salaries, how much is a normal salary? I have heard that they're low, so I talked to a Filipino about it. My guess is that he's in the mid-40s and he's an experienced tour operator, so he's not on a starting salary. He tells me that he gets a daily wage of around 500 pesos. That's around 9.5 euros or 10 US. With a 5-day work week, that gives him a monthly salary of around 200 euros, 215 US. He says that anything above that would be lucrative. Yeah, that's the word he used, lucrative. He tells me about his father who at one point had kidney problems and had to be in dialysis. And they needed money for that. And as his son, he was the one going to get the money. In 18 months, he managed to raise the money. He worked double shift and borrowed from everyone he could borrow from. Eventually, he had to give up. He couldn't do it anymore. His father told him, "Son, I know that you've done so much. It's okay." And shortly after that, he died. This is another side of the Philippines. Gawad Kalinga, or GK, have a declared goal to eradicate poverty for 5 million Filipino families before 2024. There's also a university on site where young people from disadvantaged families are given the opportunity to educate themselves through scholarships.
And then the university, which is the Seed College, where kids from the surrounding areas are sponsored students, and they learn everything about social entrepreneurship.
The last evening we met a lot of those young students for a very special dinner. They call it Boodle Fight, and it's a very Filipino way of eating. In a large room, an 8 to 10 meter long table was set up. On the table there were palm leaves and then an 8 to 10 meter long line of rice. On one side of the rice were vegetables and on the other side meat sauce. It looked very impressive. It's not a high table, regular height actually, but we were all standing. And then someone said, "Go ahead." And we began to eat with our hands. Rice, vegetables and meat sauce with our hands. And after a few minutes I find out why they call it Boodle Fight. The very hungry teenager beside me is finished eating the part of the food that's in front of him, so he begins to eat the food that is in front of me. I speak out my first thought. I say, "Hey you, that's my food." Or something to that extent. He just smiles and continues eating my food. After approximately 10 minutes, all the food is gone. And the long table is turned into a battlefield. Extremely festive and very Filipino. I asked Sophie if they have a lot of tourist activities on the farm.
Yeah, we do. We have activities organized here at the farm, which is, for example, Loving Our Land, where people are just coming to volunteer, or we have just day visitors, and they're just exploring the farm with social enterprises and just have demos and a farm tour. A lot of Filipinos come from Manila and just discover a different face of Gawad Kalinga, because everyone knows Gawad Kalinga as the NGO basically building houses, and the GK Enchanted Farm shows, I guess, a lot more. And here at the farm, I think we have around 60,000 guests every year from all over the world. I would say all of the guests we have here are inspired.
People love animals so much.
People from all over the world have the opportunity to come and spend one or multiple days on the farm to help as a volunteer, to have a meaningful holiday. And this is where Mad Travels comes into the picture. Make a Difference Travel, a sort of travel agency that works with Gawad Kalinga. I met the co-founder and the head of Mad Travel, Rafael Dionisio.
My name is Rafael Dionisio. I'm 30 years old, a Filipino, born and raised in the Philippines.
He's a 30-year-old guy from the very small part of the population who are born into a reasonable, well-off middle-class family. Despite this, he got involved as a volunteer on the Enchanted Farm.
And I ended up as a volunteer there because I was exposed to pocket events in the city. I'm a business major, and so I was curious, what is this social entrepreneurship? So I went to a talk, and that's where I heard the founder of GK and the Enchanted Farm, Tony Meloto, speak about business with purpose, about solidarity, about making sure that about how the real measure is not in the pesos or dollars you earn, but in the number of lives you change. And at that time, I was working in a multinational selling sanitary napkins and panty liners, and so I thought I want to be part of that. I feel like that's more purposeful, and if there's a way for me to become sustainable on my own and help more people, I think that's better for me. No? And
But you have a starting your own career, and you could just choose to make money for yourself and your family with this job and this education that you were lucky enough to have. But were you missing some meaning in your life?
Definitely. Because what I was doing back then is I would save my money and then I just travel, no? And so I was always traveling for adventure's sake. And I remember showing Tito Tony the pictures. Oh, we went to this place and that place and this place, and he just wasn't interested, wasn't impressed. And I was like, how do you impress this guy? No? And then I began to see that he was impressed when what impressed him was people really sacrificing and putting effort into changing the lives of the poor. No? And it was the first time that I had been exposed to a paradigm or a framework where success wasn't money. It was where success was bringing others with you. No? And that changed my world. And so and when he asked me, please volunteer with me, why don't you join our team, work with us on the Enchanted Farm, I just said yes.
And cut your salary in a tenth of what you're making now.
Well, I don't earn anything in the Enchanted Farm. That's the thing.
You get a discount on your food.
Yeah. So instead of paying 300, I'll pay like 1/3 of that or something. But I started as a volunteer, no? And then when we saw that there's a branch of tourism which we call social tourism that can really help communicate the vision, inspire people to do something, and of course make money for the farm to become sustainable. That's where I was placed because I enjoy travel, and I'm generally very friendly, you know. So that's where I started, and we set up the tourism in the farm, the tours, the demos, and everything. And it's very good. And at least today, what we see is the tourism helps keep the farm sustainable, and hopefully it continues to inspire people when they come.
And you have some different kinds of tours in Mad Travel.
That's true. So Mad Travel, Mad means make a difference, and basically we called it Mad because when you travel, you usually travel for pleasure, but this time we're saying travel for purpose just as much as you travel for pleasure.
Oh, that's mad.
Yeah, and that was mad for many of our friends. They're like, "What? You're crazy! Travel to a farm to feed chickens and goats? What? Why? It's not relevant. I want, you know." And it takes a while to explain why it's relevant to us. You know? But basically, we thought that you can make a difference in almost anything you do, and why not start with the most fun and the sexiest of activities for anyone in this world, which is travel.
I heard so many stories when I was at the Enchanted Farm from people who started up just taking a few days like we've been on for the last couple of days, and then deciding to stay for 6 months, and some of them stayed even longer.
That's true. One of my friends, Fabian, he's the guy who he's not here now, but he started the toy business Plush and Play. He originally came here just for a short internship.
Yeah, he was like 23 at the time, and from France, and he came here just a few days.
Yeah, he was supposed to be here for I think a few months, and he was lured in by the vision of the Silicon Valley of social entrepreneurship, which was supposed to be the Enchanted Farm. But back then, it was really just a patch of grass with a small village.
Yeah.
And so when he, instead of complaining about it, he helped build it to what it is today, you know. And originally, he was supposed to start with a bamboo business. I'm not sure if they mentioned that on the farm, but there was no bamboo. So he's like, it's gonna take me 5 years to grow my supply chain. Let's start with something more relevant, and that's how they started with toys.
Yeah, now they're making, because we were there, and they're making plush toys. It's like vegetables and fruits, and that's also the kids play with it and get a sense that it's good to eat more healthy.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, it's ironic that in school they teach us fruits and vegetables from the West, And so Fabian was like, well, we should teach people how to eat local fruits and vegetables, no? And make it fun. So let's make toys, because Filipinos are notorious for not eating vegetables. Fruits, they'll eat.
Yeah.
And so
A lot of rice.
a lot of too much. Yeah, we're addicted to it. But yeah, and he's been quite successful at it. In fact, he's partnered with a couple of Filipinos here, but this is the first Filipino brand that is present in the largest toy store in the country. How ironic is that? No? And it just goes to show that the industry of toys and almost everything in this country is imported. And the irony is we can produce almost everything we consume. It's just that we need people to commit and to use their talents and work with others so that they can create products that we can be proud of. Now, whether it's chocolate, we import 80% of that, or dairy products, we import 90% of the dairy products. We buy dairy from Singapore, which is ironic because they don't have cows or goats. So
Yeah. So people who are listening to this might think, oh, I want to do this. When they go on your website, you have some different tours, and it's not all just working as a volunteer. It's also going to see some of the beautiful sites that you have here.
So the concept, if you log on to our website, madtravel.org, you will see different packages and different destinations, no? And the whole point is to try to create 3 different experiences for your travel, no? One is, of course, there's the fun/rest and relaxation, and then there is exposure to social entrepreneurship, and then there is also humanitarian service involved, whether it's helping the environment or house building for the poor. And the whole point is for you to see that when you the whole point is we want to encourage you to come as a traveler, but to leave as a friend or family.
And that is exactly what I'm doing now. I've met so many wonderful, smiling and welcoming Filipinos. This has been a unique experience. But now I'm moving on. I am staying here in the Philippines, but I want to see some of the beautiful scenery and get to use my PADI scuba diving license. And that's why I'm going to the islands of Bohol and Cebu, located a little further south. The last words of this podcast comes from Luis Aquino, the executive director of Gawad Kalinga.
So I decided that my life, no matter how short, I wanted to make it relevant, because at the end, when you look at your tombstone, it'll be date of birth and date of death, right? And then there's a dash. So your whole life is actually defined by a dash. So my question is, what is that dash for me? And I've decided that dash will be GK until the last breath.
My name is Palapo, and I gotta keep moving.